Hey everyone, I thought I would do an episode on methylation. I'm still getting over kind of a cold, and I'm recording this on Christmas because I technically celebrated a few days earlier, so and trying to be productive because I have time off. So anyways, methylation is, I have written about this and done videos on this, and be honest, I think it's something that's like both kind of simple and complex and can be helpful to an extent with your health and like addressing it and stuff. And I'm mostly talking about methylation defects, and these are, I wouldn't call them quite genetic defects or genetic disorders, because it's only a part of a gene, it's not a whole gene, and these are relatively common. I think like anywhere from 20 to 30% of people have some kind of defect, and there's a bunch of different SNPs, also called singular nucleotide polymorphisms, which is basically just encodes for an enzyme and either turns it off, turns it on, and these affect a lot of different biochemical pathways. This can affect basically your energy levels, it can affect your neurotransmitters, it can affect your mood, therefore it can affect energy, and it can affect all kind of different things. But there's a lot of misinformation. A lot of people get these rather expensive tests, which I don't necessarily agree with. I think you can just get a 23andMe test, which is like maybe $100, and then go through some free kind of analysis. They have some online. There are some paid ones that maybe they'll go through it and explain it more. There's a bunch of different, there's like COMT, there's BHMT, and there's other ones that like affect like ammonia and all these other things, and some that more have to do with, you know, neurotransmitters and stuff like that. But if you want kind of like a definition of it, there's a few different definitions, but it's basically gene expression, and there's DNA methylation, and it's a chemical process basically of adding methyl groups to molecules like DNA, proteins, or other substrates. And when you have these defects, basically the end products, the simple end products that Dr. Ben Lynch likes to describe, and he's one that I really like because he makes it pretty simple, because it can be kind of complex when you take into a bunch of different factors and stuff that affect this and stuff like that. But basically the end products are typically methylfolate and methylcobalamin, which is the methylated form of folate, and then the methylated form of B12, which is one of the four forms of B12, and probably one of the best to take. And so simple ways that you can kind of support this is basically taking choline, which you can get from eggs and other dietary sources, but you can also supplement with it, and that's a methyl donor. So we'll donate, or basically a donor of a methyl group, and then so basically these are what was I saying? So taking something like choline or creatine or methylfolate or methylcobalamin will donate. It'll be a methyl donor, donate to methylation, and it'll form a methyl group, and it will help with the methylation process. And typically, that's all you have to do is you take choline, creatine, methylfolate, and methylcobalamin. Choline and creatine can also help with overall kind of bunch of different things, mitochondrial health, which can affect energy, choline, which can also affect like nerves and nervous system and stuff like that. But there are some people that are there's a thing called undermethylation, and there's a thing called overmethylation, where you basically, undermethylation is where you don't have enough methyl groups, and overmethylation is where you have too much, and both can cause issues. And one way you can kind of determine this, and for some reason it could be overmethylation, or it could be just because you're sensitive to it, is it used to be where people would think that you just take methylfolate and you take methylcobalamin, which is basically B12, the methylated forms of folate and B12, and then you'll be fine, and then it'll help. But some people that notice, Ben Lynch has even tried this, is that some people are sensitive to it, and if they take some, or if they take too much, things will kind of improve for a bit, but then they'll get worse, or they'll go back to kind of how they were. And in that case, you probably just want to take choline, creatine, the other B vitamins. You can also take folinic acid. You don't want to take folic acid, which is typically like the synthetic form, and it's added to a lot of like foods and stuff like that. And there's other ways of kind of influencing and affecting methylation as well too, like things that affect it are like alcohol and like certain drugs you use, like poor sleep, poor diet. And by poor diet, I mean basically like eating foods like processed foods, but also foods with like gluten, soy, and dairy, stuff with a lot of sugar in it, and just like processed foods that, you know, it's something that you'd find in a box or something like that. And so kind of think of like a paleo or a paleo template diet for supporting it. There's other things that you could also do, like down the line, if you want perhaps more methylation support, you could add sulfur, which you can take broccoli sprout extract, or you could take Epsom salt baths, or you can even do Epsom salt, like spray it on your skin and stuff like that. And other stuff that might help is like detox support, adding in other stuff that can help with like not the only adrenals, but also like neurotransmitters like tyrosine and mucuna prions. That would help with more dopamine. Serotonin, which would be like royal jelly, but also that would help with BH4. And BH4 is something that I believe some SNPs, either directly or indirectly, kind of contribute to that. And basically BH4 is kind of a let me actually look it up, because I don't know if I have the is a tetrahydrobiopterin, and it's basically a enzymatic cofactor that produces serotonin, dopamine, and nitric oxide. And so some of these SNPs can affect that, and so you can support that with diet and stuff like that. But you can also take like royal jelly, which helps. But you can also take like choline, and phosphatidylserine, which can help with more of the adrenals, but also stuff that can help with nitric oxide by, you know, taking supplements, but also like eating foods like watermelon, and beets are probably the best for nitric oxide. And you can test for low levels of nitric oxide. I don't know if BH4 testing is possible or accurate. I could be wrong though. The other thing for serotonin neurotransmitters in this, because it could be if you have kind of mood problems, whether that be anxiety, it could be kind of low serotonin, it could be low dopamine, it could be low acetylcholine, it could be a combination of them. You kind of have to test about, but generally speaking, to support those, dopamine, it's tyrosine, which is amino acid, mucuna, serotonin, you can support that with royal jelly, and you can also take choline, and you can also take acetylcholine and stuff like that, BH4, and then also with the nitric oxide, use that with, I believe there's some supplements like nitric oxide boosting supplements. If you look some up, you want to get some and look into one that have like a combination, citrulline. There's other amino acids. Excuse me. But anyways, you basically want to try and influence this with diet, lifestyle, and if needed, supplements. And you can get folate from there's certain foods, I believe dark leafy greens are typically the best source, and eggs is a good source of like choline, which can help support it. And you kind of want to test, like see what kind of helps, and then go from there. So, you know, do diet interventions and add like supplements like one at a time, see if they help. And if you really need help, you can contact me, but you can also contact or get hold of a functional or naturopathic doctor and see if they can go further from there. Methylation isn't something I consider myself an expert, but I'm kind of like intermediate. I've done research in the past. I've helped some people out with it. I have quite a few different methylation issues myself, or defects. And it can be complex. You really need to, like, each one of them, like if you look at a chart or like a diagram, and it'll show all the different methylation defects and how they interact with your body's chemistry and biochemistry and stuff. But anyways, I hope this is helpful. Feel free to contact me if you need help, or if you want to collab, if you want to be a guest, if you want me on a guest as well too. I've been meaning to post more episodes. I've just been busy with kind of life stuff and work and other stuff, and finding the time to kind of do a podcast episode. But I hope this is helpful, especially those. I don't think necessarily you need to test for methylation defects if you suspect them. You can probably just take some supports, which I mentioned, which is choline, creatine, methylfolate, and methylcobalamin, and go from there. The other B vitamins, I believe, can also help with methylation as well. I do know niacin is kind of, if you suspect you may be over-methylating by taking too many B vitamins, you can take niacin in higher amounts, but then you could also go under methylation as well. You do want to try to avoid cyanocobalamin, which is another form of B12. Adenosine cobalamin and hydroxycobalamin could be helpful, and they could be alternatives if you don't tolerate methylfolate. Adenosyl cobalamin is another active form, but it's not methylated. And hydroxycobalamin is something that your body basically converts into however much you need. I suspect a lot of people are likely low in B12 as is, and contribute to energy levels and stuff, because I don't know. Blood testing and stuff is really all the accurate, because I know that I benefit sometimes from taking more B12. You can also take B12 shots. You can also take suppositories of B12 and B vitamins. I do think B12 is one of the more important ones. The other ones are important, and it can help with energy and stuff like that. Anyways, again, so later, contact me if you have any questions, comments, you want to collab, if you want to be a guest on my show, or if you're looking for a guest. I'm always looking to connect and collaborate with other people, other podcasters and stuff like that. I hope everyone is doing well, have good holidays, and yeah, I'll see you guys all later in the next episode I do.